What's up guys? Today we're here with the max potential video for Agatha Harkness. Now if you're not aware, this is the part 2 of my Agatha Harkness review. If you want to find out about her abilities, you want to learn how she works, go check out the first video, the Agatha Harkness explained video. That's where we go through the champion at the rank 4 SIG 20 level, so you can see what to expect if you just happen to get this champion at the Titan Crystal. But this is the video where we go through at rank 5, SIG 200, Ascension 2 with a full synergy team. The full bee's knees, the max potential of this champion. So if you missed that video, go check that out first and then come back to this one. But this one, I just want to go through and show you sort of what she's capable of at this max rank against a few nasty defenders. And as usual, if you're liking this video, if you're enjoying my content overall, and if you're enjoying the start of this new series of champion breakdowns, then hit like, hit subscribe. That really does help me out and it lets me know that you're enjoying these videos. Only like 10% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so I would like to see those numbers increase. So hit subscribe because I truly do appreciate it. Anywho, let's get into the Agatha at max potential. First fight I want to go through is against the obligatory fight that proves to everyone that a Mystic champion is a good champion, and that is against Serpent. Now this is a beefy Serpent. This is a 1.7 million health Serpent. He's a beefy boy, and Serpent in general is already a very hefty champion overall. He's a very tanky champion, so any health pool of Serpent is normally a bit of a mission. But this champion against Agatha Harkness is kind of a piece of cake. There's definitely better Serpent counters out there, as I said in the last video, but Agatha Harkness, once you get into the rotation in that rune prison, really does manage it quite well. And even though there's 1.7 million health with this Serpent, doing some funky little things about trying to increase that rune prison and keeping those special 2s up very regularly, we're actually going to be able to keep him in this one rune prison phase the entire fight. You can see the power gain for Agatha Harkness kind of goes crazy once the buffs start reducing in duration because of that atrophy. So the power gains for Serpent drop off pretty quickly. He left the rune prison there, so it means that it just is going to extend that time a little bit as well. And you see we're taking advantage of the steadfast buff by trying to keep him in that rune prison too. The only thing that is a bit annoying about Serpent is if he's outside of the rune prison and he gains his inexorable passive, it does mean it's a little bit annoying to try to get him back into the rune prison, but it also means if it activates while he's in there, he's a bit more easy to manage and keep him in that space. You can see the special 2 with Agatha is doing a fair bit of damage. I mean, against a Serpent, every tick there was doing 14,000 damage. That's already like 70 something thousand damage overall of all of the ticks. And then her basic attacks, I reckon it's probably clocking in close to a 200,000 damage special 2. As you can see, as I said in the first video, she does take a fair bit of block damage with Serpent just because she doesn't really have any abilities that are assisting in that. But after this one more special 2, and then holding block until we get to our next one, still keeping that same rune prison active even though it is a slither away from expiring, we're able to drop that Serpent in the one rotation. 103 hits, took a couple of minutes, but we came out fairly unscathed. You know, we've still got 74%. Overall pretty solid. There is a lot of Mystic champions that are going to be able to do this Serpent fight, probably faster, probably safer, but for a new champion that flew under the radar a fair bit, not too bad. 1.7 million health Serpent down in under 2 minutes. Now the champion that I think Agatha Harkness is sort of designed around being a counter for is Dark Phoenix. And Dark Phoenix goes down in this fight very quickly. This is a 1.5 million health Dark Phoenix. And with Agatha Harkness, it's kind of the same sort of abilities she's using in every fight. She's trying to get up to the rune prison as soon as possible and just try to keep that rune prison running as long as you can, and using your special 2s once they're empowered to try to deal a bunch of that energy damage. I guess the only other thing that's different in this fight is that because of her signature ability, she's also got that regeneration from the Nova Flame. So it means that not only is she regenerating the Nova Flame tick damage, but she also regenerates the block damage that she's taking whilst that Nova Flame is inflicted too. And you can see once she's got that energy vulnerability on Dark Phoenix, her hits are doing a lot of damage. I mean, even her basic ticks are dealing a fair bit, and once she gets to those special 2 attacks, it's pretty hefty. I don't think there's many champions that are dealing with a Dark Phoenix this effectively. Unfortunately, we did fall out of the rune prison there at around still 50% health on Dark Phoenix, but that's okay. We're still going to be dealing a fair bit of damage even outside of that because of all that energy vulnerability as well. And the rune prison isn't reliant on being able to manage her cheat death mechanic. You can still get around that even without the rune prison being active. So in a fight where it does drop off, where maybe it wasn't able to be managed as effectively as maybe it was in the Serpent fight, you can still take down a Dark Phoenix with no issue. A 1.5 million health Dark Phoenix down in under 2 minutes is pretty nasty. If that was a war boss, that would be kind of crazy to take down a Dark Phoenix of that size and still have 99% health left in a minute 22. Pretty ridiculous. Now, another fight that I wanted to show off is one that I didn't really show in the original video, but I think is something that is still quite a relevant counter, because Sersi is a champion which a lot of players have ascended and is often quite high up in their account. So for things like Battlegrounds or maybe for war defense, you see a fair few Sersis around, especially if you haven't done the challenge tower, the Ascension tower, that had 3 different Sersis in it, which I know people were having a lot of issues with. And so for Sersi, because of that buff control, you're just going to see with the atrophy, her glancing just reduces so quickly. And when the glancing is off and she's got the energy vulnerability on her, you're going to be able to deal a lot of damage against her with that special too. So that's really what it's about, is trying to just maintain dealing damage outside of that glancing phase. It wasn't timed perfectly in that one. The other thing that's really handy is if Sersi has her unblockable ability, it does mean that you're going to be able to just use that steadfast and be able to block that unblockable attack, which is a really, really nice safety net to have. I think that was my biggest takeaway from the first Agatha Harkness video, was that steadfast I think is just the most important ability in her kit. You can see she's still taking a fair bit of block damage, but unless this is a Battlegrounds match, that doesn't really matter. Taking some chip damage here and there isn't really a big deal. You can see for a Sersi of 1.4 million health, normally having really, really nasty glancing abilities the entire time, she's down already. We've still got like 80% health left. The glancing reduces so quickly because of that atrophy. And once she's got that down and she's got that energy vulnerability on her, the damage from that special 2 is just really, really nasty. So yeah, minute 21 for a 1.4 million health Sersi. Pretty ridiculous. Definitely not what you would expect from a champion that was as underhyped as Agatha Harkness was. Now, another champion I want to show off is this fight against Karolina Dean, because Karolina Dean is another one of those champions where the steadfast buff is really, really handy, because Karolina Dean, if you're in that sun phase or she throws off that special 2, she's going to be unblockable for a bunch of it. And as well, Agatha Harkness also has that same ability in her SIG ability for incinerates too. So it's not just for Nova Flames like with Dark Phoenix, it's also against Karolina. So if you do find that you get incinerates on yourself, at least you're going to be able to regenerate that damage too. And you can use that steadfast even if you are in that sun phase, which you will find you do get in the sun area quite a bit when you're in the rune prison, just because it kind of spawns close to Karolina each time. So if you're in that area, you will find it's on there very regularly, but because you got that steadfast, you can manage it really, really well. Now, we did lose the rune prison there, but we're going to activate it again. That's all good. And then when she comes back in here, we're going to be able to save up for our special 2 again. The balancing around the rune prison, I do really like these abilities of not really pushing the opponent with anything but the medium attacks. It makes it very easy to be able to manage the spacing in the fight, which I really do like, because that is something that is very limiting with these sorts of abilities where it's based on a specific part of the arena. For champions like the leader or champions like High Evo, I know it's very, very difficult and a lot of people struggle to try to keep the opponent in that area because it is very limiting, the amount of space that you get. So being able to have that ability to kind of keep them in that area and not push them out yourself, it means you can still deal a lot of damage. You can do pretty much all the combos you would want to do and you don't really get punished by it. We did get pushed to a special 3 here. I didn't mean to do that, but we're still going to end this fight anyway. And a 1.4 million health Karolina Dean, especially even with her glancing ability and being also a fairly tanky champion for her size, she goes down very, very easily as well. And with a lot of health left, you know, with a few safety nets still around the steadfast and around being able to regenerate incinerate damage, we still got out of there with 87% health and in a minute 47. Pretty good. Now, Super-Skrull is another champion that I wanted to show off this fight. He is another champion which has Nova Flame actually. He's a champion which I forget has Nova Flame every time I sort of look into Super-Skrull, and he's a champion that I also forget about fairly regularly. So when I do come across a Super-Skrull and I accidentally mess up and I take a special 2 into the block, or I get hit with an unblockable special 2, it is a very, very punishing fight. And so having a counter around the steadfast, but also around the Nova Flame regeneration, I think Agatha is a really, really good bet for any Super-Skrull fight. I can't see anyone else taking this fight much better than Agatha does here. And that is even with my terrible gameplay. I've already been hit by 2 special 1s, but we're not going to talk about that. We just want to focus on the damage of Agatha. We're going to get that falter out of the way, throw off this special 2, and you can see 50k energy damage on those ticks, not even taking into account the basic attack damage. I think that was like a 600k, 500k special attack. But that's very, very meaty. This is a 1.4 million health Super-Skrull, and we've gotten him down to 14% already. With the Steadfast, we block that ability there. We go in and we just do another combo into a special 1, and he's dead. 1.4 million health. We blocked a special 2, we took multiple special 1s to the face, and we still left the fight with 87% health. 1.4 million health Super-Skrull in a minute. That's so quick. 1.4 million health in a minute for any champion is ridiculously quick, especially for a champion that has flown under the radar. And now to close off this video, I'm just going to show you some gameplay of me going into one of the big HP fights in the content creator beta. Now, Agatha Harkness is a champion which I think has definitely flown under the radar. I think she was having to sort of ride on the coattails of Nico Minoru and Doctor Strange and Madeline Pryor, and I think she sort of just got forgotten about because of that. And she does counter a lot of the same champions that they do. I think there's a lot of fights that Agatha Harkness isn't the best for, but I do think there's a lot of fights that she does handle because of these specific abilities, especially around the Steadfast, which there were fights that maybe people were having trouble with, like around unblockable abilities for Null or Super-Skrull or Karolina Dean or Heimdall or Sersi. All of these champions with an Agatha Harkness just becomes so much easier and so much less punishing. Being able to have that safety net of just having a Steadfast if you don't know how to evade it, or maybe you're going up against Null and the reverse controls is active and you just can't wrap your head around dodging the special attack at the moment. You can just hold block. You can avoid the unblockable damage. And I just think that's a great new ability to have. I do think the intercept abilities with Agatha Harkness are very interesting. I'm a bit scared about what she's going to look like on defense, because defensively I do think she's going to be a little bit of a demon around that intercept mechanic, and also around the root passive in that rune prison ability as well. I think is going to be a little bit nasty too. But overall, I think Agatha Harkness has entered the game with very, very good potential. I think the damage is there. I think the damage, compared to a lot of other Mystic champions, she can ramp up quite high in the ideal situations, and I just think she has a bit of a utility knife kit to be able to manage with a lot of different options, especially when you're integrating in things like synergies, where you can then increase the different types of buffs you can copy, or with the atrophy, just having an atrophy, you're able to manage so many more different types of fights as well. So I think overall, she is a very good addition to the game. I'm very happy to have her in the game. This is a champion in the Titan pool, which is going to be a solid Mystic champion overall, but she's going to be a really good champion for those specific sorts of fights where you want a Steadfast ability, or around other niche fights that maybe other Mystic champions right now aren't handling very well. So anyway guys, that is it. That is the rank 5 SIG 200 Ascension 2 showcase. And if you like the format of these videos and you want to see more videos like this of other champions explained and their max potential as well, hit the subscribe button, because I really do appreciate it and it shows me that you're enjoying these videos too. But that's going to do it guys. That is all I wanted to go over today, is just going through Agatha Harkness at that rank 5 A2. Thank you very much for watching. Put in the comments what you want to see next time, any other things you want me to cover in the next champion breakdowns, and that's going to do it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.